for staying with us. I'm joined by two gentlemen on the program this morning. Christopher Ojekere is a public affairs commentator. He's to my immediate left. Chris, thank you for coming on TMI.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes.
And next to him is Felix Osarime. He's a lecturer at the Department of International Studies and Diplomacy, University of Benin. Felix, thank you for joining us too.
Oh yeah, good morning.
We appreciate it.
Good morning.
I just want us to, we're looking at open grazing, anti-open grazing law this morning on the program, basically, but we just thought we should lend our voice to the development that we had seen in Benin City between Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, the announcement was made on Monday. There by Tuesday and Wednesday, we saw protests that was relentless in nature. Some persons had said it was pretty much like a microcosm of the NSAS protest, but again, the objective was different. And by the end of yesterday, there had been closure to that issue. However, the issues that led to the protests in the first instance, the implications of the protests, the gridlock it caused on the Benin-Lagos Expressway for 2 straight days also is something we can't pretend about. But again, going forward, the question would be exactly what could be done in similar situations in the future. People have talked about how that the students had conducted themselves for the most part in a mature manner. Others have talked about how that the authority of the University of Benin had done the right thing by rescinding its decision about the 20,000 naira late tuition payment fee and so on and so forth. But what exactly does it say about the states of tertiary education in particular in Nigeria as of today? As it turns out, Felix Osarime is a lecturer at the same institution. But I want us to, I'm trying not to make you be, a judge in your own cause. But let's talk about first all of the issues around the protests, and then what led to the protest, and then the action that has been taken as it stands right now.
All right. Essentially, we do not charge school fees in the University of Benin. I think we should clear that information for the public to understand. In University of Benin, being a federal institution, it's a public university. What they pay is called school charges. They don't actually pay school fees. And the charges are, as we can say, by economic standard of today, tolerable. It's low. Unfortunately, there's a development that's led to what's transpired between Tuesday and Wednesday, which is that many of the students hold to the argument that things are difficult, that they cannot pay their charges as at the time they are resuming. That is the students' claim, that life is difficult, the economy is not good, their parents are not finding it easy to meet commitments and other challenges. We accept that fact. But the university did not just come up with an argument. The university's position was that when you resume school, after 3 weeks, you should have been able to make that payment. Interestingly, resumption was announced at the time students were going home last session. At resumption, they were also aware of the charge they were to pay, as well as the information that the university had added that at a particular point, if you have not paid that your charge, you will pay a separate surcharge on top. So it was an open matter. The students were not in the dark. What the students were claiming is that they should be given more time. And the management is also having to reconcile the fact that university is a very expensive place to run. We should not be playing to the gallery of Marxist argument that education is free, education is a right. We agree. Whatever is free and cheap is useless. Whatever is good and valuable incurs some cost and involvement. And to run the university, federal government is not actually properly funding the universities. That has been the argument of my union, ASU, that there is no proper funding. You are not providing what you should provide to make the place function as designed. In fact, right now, ASU is warming up for another showdown with government. And this is the bottleneck that the administration of universities face. Particularly a university like University of Benin, where we have this great demand. The University of Benin has consistently recorded the highest application in university in Nigeria in the last 10 years. The number of applicants is not declining. The facilities that we are managing them with the limited resources. And the government is asking you to make up the difference through your own rake-off, what we call the IGRO. And the students charges do not constitute what pays our salaries. So we should also understand this point, that the management will now have to discuss with council and come up with a proposal. The argument that students should pay school fees whenever they are ready is not acceptable anywhere in the world. We should not deceive ourselves. Technically, let me clear the air on this. If a student does not pay at the point you should pay, when the result for that session has been processed, the student will now have to go and pay later. You now start doing what we call amendment. These are expensive ventures for us, because to now do result for a student again, you go through the whole process,
right?
Constituting boards, meetings, then printing papers. If that person was captured at the time they should have been prepared, it will go through effortlessly. But there are challenges, and the management of the university will have to meet certain things that government will not properly provide for. The daily running cost of the university is astronomical. We cannot run away from that. So part of this, that this charges that students pay is brought in to augment.
Okay, I think I'm going to let you hold it there quickly. Then just seek the position of Christopher Jekere on this one, right? We've heard people talk about how that, well, whether you like it or not, as it stands today, UNESCO says every country should earmark at least 26%, minimum 26% of their national budget to education. That has not been a reality in Nigeria. Recently, Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said Nigeria is not a UN nation, right? That's clear enough. Okay. When the protest was ongoing, I watched on our news how that a student who was part of the protest, one of the leaders of the protest, had talked about how that on account of the 20,000 naira late payment fee, his tuition had shot up to about 93,000 naira. Now, depending on the exchange rate you're looking at, that is somewhere around $200. Are we realistic enough to expect quality, world-class, innovative education from that sort of situation?
Well, it's a matter of balancing. Balancing between competing needs and economic realities.
All right.
Economic realities as created by the government of the day, because the government of the day has completely refused to do anything about our educational system. You will think that you are going to find a parallel between the government's huge borrowing that is becoming a universal embarrassment in Nigeria and development within the country, and especially in the educational sector, which is the fulcrum of every other development. So you keep wondering what those borrowings are meant for. If the universities are properly funded, you won't have the kind of situation you had in Benin. That's the whole basic truth, and that's where it all comes down to. So what you are finding between the students and the authority is a matter of balancing. The only thing to solve that should be proper communication. It's neither the universities for us nor the students. I mean, the students are from Nigerian homes that have been deprived by the irresponsibility of government in all sectors. It's a holistic thing. It's a cyclical economy. If your father is working and is not earning salary, or he's just earning subsistence wages, he's earning 30,000 naira a month, the father still has to send his children to the university, and then a child has to pay close to 90,000 according to that boy, and the man has two of them there. It's just an economic reality he can do nothing about. He will struggle to do the little that he can. And the student is not going to be susceptible to listening to arguments from the university. The university authority in its own knows what it has to pass through to maintain infrastructure, to pay monuments and all of that. So it's a matter of balancing. I should advise citizens to start to let us admit and agree to ourselves that we have been afflicted by inflicting on ourselves an irresponsible government that has no interest of any development at hand. Let us now find a way to cope within that system so that we'll be able to know how to manage it through until we come out of these woods.
Okay, great. We hope we come out of the woods early enough.